One man is being victimized by our own government. One man whom they fear, yet whom millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. A place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
You know, it's not surprising to me because I've been, at the fulcrum at this thing for years now, as you well know, Eric. But it's a stunning revelation when the director of national intelligence for the United States of America is accusing with evidence, and I mean with very clear evidence, not only what she has exposed in the last 72, 96 hours, but also what we already know from various investigations that have already been done, that she's essentially accusing the former president of the United States, Barack H. Obama, of basically conducting a years-long coup d'etat to undermine not only President Donald J. Trump during his 45th presidency, but also to undermine the presidency of the United States of America and the United States of America. And this is just, I mean, in my lifetime, and I think for most Americans who have kind of been asleep, honestly, Eric, a lot of Americans still kind of look at things and they go, that's just politics as usual. I think what people are starting to realize is that our country is severely threatened by a communist movement inside of the nation, inside of the institution of government, and it has been led by Barack Obama. I put out the other day, Eric, on a post on my X post a couple of days ago, where I laid out what I said was the deep state plan. And I've said this for years now, and it's proven true. The deep state plan was for Barack Obama to be in place for 8 years, and then the person to follow him up would be Hillary Clinton, and she would be the heir apparent to Barack Obama, and she would be there for another 8 years, and we wouldn't be having this conversation. And our country and our Constitution and our way of life would be completely undermined by that particular plan. That was the deep state plan. 8 years Obama, 8 years of Hillary. Enter in 2015, the summer of 2015, coming down the escalator, Donald J. Trump. And Trump upset that plan. And they tried their damnedest to upset him prior to the election of November 2016. And Trump, lo and behold, the American people were sick and tired of the political establishment. Hillary Clinton was one of the most unlikable people. Donald Trump beats her. And as soon as he beat her, that's when the insurance policy kicked in that Peter Strzok and Lisa Page, right, the two FBI agents, one being a lawyer for the FBI and one being the deputy of counterespionage of all things, Peter Strzok. So what's really incredible is this is a new piece of evidence. And I think that people need to go back and pay attention to what Tulsi Gabbard, the really brave, courageous Tulsi Gabbard, just did. So a new piece of evidence that I was not aware of, and I just finished writing, I just wrote a book, it's out as a bestseller right now, called Pardon of Innocence. The piece that I was not aware of, which comes out of classified information, it occurred on the 8th of December. So we all knew from my case, there was a 5th of January 2017 meeting in the Oval Office. Well, now we know from what Tulsi revealed, on the 8th of December 2016, right after the election, Barack Obama had his national security team, Comey, Brennan, Clapper, Susan Rice. He had them together, and this is when they made adjustments. And their presidential daily briefing was adjusted, the intelligence was adjusted, and there was direction and intent by Obama given to basically undermine. And this is really when the hardcore component of the coup began. The coup kind of started in 2016 summer, where they started to really build up this case that Hillary Clinton, paid for, this bought and paid for intelligence. But the real hard coup began on that meeting. Now that we know this from these released classified documents that Tulsi Gabbard released. So this is very, very important. And James.
All right, so that's obviously General Michael Flynn, who's been extremely busy over the last couple days. We've had General Flynn on the show twice. We're trying to get him booked on again, and he's just so busy with people wanting to hear from him right now. And the reason why everybody wants to hear from him right now, because he was in it. And what you're finding, as at least I'm finding, over the last 2 days, a lot of the sources that people used to look back to and would want information are now coming up, and but most people are now no longer listening to the mainstream media in regards to this. They're going back to the old standbys who they know were knee deep in all of this, who could tell you specifically what was going on. And so I urge you to begin following some of these people. And then on top of everything else, I got to show you this. I have no idea what it means. It has become the talk of X. And people are saying that this is a comm. I don't know. I'm seeing all kinds of theories, but I'm just going to bring it to you. This is obviously Ivanka Trump posed in front of a old truck with a light. Nobody was able to recognize where that is. It's obviously not Florida. It could be as simple as she's coming out with a new boot line or a new clothing line. But it was interesting because she posted this with nothing else. No words, just this. And if you look at the bottom right there, there's a lamp. And there's an old message. Goes back to, I guess, Paul Revere, one if by land, two if by sea, and people took this to mean today that means one if by land. Do I know what that means? Nope. I'm just going to show it to you, and now you guys can start doing your research and go, what the heck does that mean, one if by land? Yeah, might be something you definitely want to look into. She's been quiet, she hasn't said much, and then poof, all of a sudden today, out of nowhere, that she posted with no explanation, no caption whatsoever. Just a picture of her with a lantern. Just, I don't know, just sitting there. Next to an old truck. People are saying the year of the truck means something. I'm not a truck aficionado, so I don't even know what year that is or what truck it is. But it's an old restored truck with with Trump's daughter standing next to a single lantern. Yeah, could mean absolutely nothing. Could mean nothing. Could mean a lot. We are going to see. Obviously, what I took from that is, again, the regular media, they don't know crap. They don't know what's going on. They are at the complete behest of President Trump right now. And guys like Michael Flynn. Another guy they're at the behest of is Paul Sperry, who I told you about earlier. He got more stuff. New D-class emails reveal Obama's spooks not only concealed IC doubts about Putin helping Trump win, but even doubts over the Russia hacking and leaking DNC emails. They also hid the reliance on Hillary's dossier. Brennan and Comey hid the Clinton plan from their own analysts and agents and the FISA court. So this stuff is coming out. I mean, this was an hour ago, almost hourly. More and more and more stuff just keeps hitting the fan. And it's so much that the normies can't keep up. Even people who have listened to some of this stuff can't keep up. He also posted this. Just as Obama ordered post-election intel to smear Trump, he ordered pre-debate intel to help Hillary. So now it's gone further. Now he's trying to help Hillary win the debate. Obama approved a, quote, joint statement manufactured by Clapper conveniently on October 7, 2016, 2 days before the presidential debate, and Clinton used it to tar Trump as a Russian agent. Man, this is getting deep, and nobody in the mainstream media is even talking about it, and it's happening so fast. And so don't expect the media to at all be able to keep up with this or even want you to know. This one here, text emails show Clinton camp coordinated with Obama White House on the Trump Russia smear. So the news is getting out there if you know where to look, if you even care to look. And this is getting really, really deep. And one of the main people involved at this point is General Flynn. So General Flynn put something out. Let's take a look at a couple of things he wrote. Attention, what does coup mean for America moving forward? America is essentially at a pivotal moment closing in on our 250th year of existence, and we now have experienced our first visible attempt from inside our own government to overthrow and destroy our constitutional republic. So what? Well, the next phase must be to start the healing process in order to heal the nation from this attempted overthrow of our country. I would go as far to say is they did overthrow the country. They did put Joe Biden in as president. There is still so much to know about 2020, in addition to knowing about 2016. So there's so much information that they did, the players, all of this has to come out. I don't know if people are ready to heal yet because they haven't seen the scab ripped off. Until people start getting arrested and all this even more so comes out, right now it's just an aura of treason. He says this starts with justice and accountability. If there's no justice and accountability for those who directed and actively participated in this coup, our nation can't move forward. We must resolve in ourselves that if we want to remain a nation of laws, we must follow them. A famous historian once said, a great nation will not be conquered from without until it has destroyed itself from within. Let's hold these people accountable for their egregious actions directed from within. Otherwise, they will feel emboldened to attempt it again. I don't think that's an option because of what he just said. This has to be excised. We have to take this tumor out. We don't have any choice, America. You, me, Robin, all of us, our future depends on all of this being brought out. And they're going to try and hide it the best they possibly can. He put that out, and then what time did he put this one out? This one was about an hour ago. And I want you to see this, because this is indicative of what I was just saying. You're going to have to start following some different people now. It's imperative that you start looking at people who have been in this since 2016 and just didn't show up just right now. Attention, many want to know why me. Why were those in the Barack Obama administration so desperately targeting Mike Flynn? Below is a superb analysis addressing this question. And he basically CCs a bunch of people. And this article he's speaking about is coming from the old Draw and Strike, Brian Cates. And it's a pretty long article, and it's supplanted with all kinds of information. But suffice it to say, this is something you might want to go take a look at. It turns out the real predicate, meaning what caused that everything, for the crossfire razor investigation of Flynn as Trump's incoming NSA was Comey, McCabe, and Strzok's intense, strong desire to get Flynn, quote, out of the Trump White House before he could discover and expose their having used known Clinton hoaxes to start up federal investigations of the Trump campaign and to obtain federal surveillance warrants. They were all scared poopless that Flynn would not only find out about the Clinton plan to vilify Trump with the series of fake collusion hoaxes manufactured by Clinton's dirty tricks team at Perkins, Coie, and Fusion GPS, they couldn't have Flynn finding out they'd known all about the Clinton plan since August of 2016, when CIA Director John Brennan had gone to the White House and briefed them about it. So you're not going to hear that on the news. You can only hear that from people who were deep into it way back in 2016. Most of the people, even on different pods, are not going to know because they weren't there. You're going to be able to see very quickly how many people were in the trenches back in 2016. It's easy right now to have a guest on your show. It's easy to basically repeat what Tulsi's putting out there. It's a lot different to have been involved in it and understand way back. People used to laugh at us. They used to, call us crazy, call us kooks. Every time somebody would even talk or hint about anybody in the red pillage area, they were laughed at. We were scoffed. We were told we were conspiracy theorists. And now every one of those conspiracy theories that they said were conspiracy theories are 100% becoming viable. They are actually what happened. God help us. We are in a position right now we've never been in. Well, maybe back in the Benedict Arnold days, maybe all the way back then. But there's guys out there in the trenches who have been discussing this and have been talking about it. And I think it's time that these people are applauded and brought from outside the shadows so you can understand what they've been saying. One of those guys is Matt Taibbi. Matt Taibbi was also the guy who came out with the Clinton papers, and he also came out with the the Twitter files, the Facebook files, and all these kind of things. I'm rattling off stuff quickly because I want you to know there's so much for you to grasp, so much. And so if you're new to all of this, now it's time to start looking at the people who were in the trenches back then. Matt was one of them. Listen to what Matt has to say.
And James Comey were the focus of criminal investigations that have been opened by the Justice Department. But these new documents that were released by Tulsi Gabbard and the Director of National Intelligence make it clear that the investigation is now aimed at the Obama White House, and in particular at Barack Obama, because of decisions that were made in early December of 2016 to suppress the presidential daily briefing and go ahead and order a new intelligence community assessment that ultimately would have much more aggressive conclusions about Trump and Russia.
So a lot of this, December of 2016 into January of 2017, I'm assuming also. But Trump's people were in there for 4 years. And the current CIA director had his job for 8 months at the time. Did his people fail him? Well, why wasn't there more urgency on this and Trump 1.0 as there is now?
No, he's talking about John Ratcliffe. John Ratcliffe was in the prior administration with Trump. He was who Tulsi is now. He was the DNI back during Trump 1. Now, John Ratcliffe is the CIA director. And so the question keeps coming up is, all right, so why didn't this guy do his job? Why didn't Ratcliffe? Why didn't, all these different people know about what was happening, and why didn't they act? Matt's going to give you a pretty good answer here.
Yeah, that's a complaint I heard a lot over the weekend from people who have been following this, and even from former officials who are close to Trump. One of them said to me, a former high-ranking Trump official said there was, quote, so much corruption in the last Trump presidency that this shouldn't have been overlooked, that these documents should have come out. Absolutely. But the overall sense I get is that everyone's happy that they finally are coming out, and they're looking forward to what is likely to come out this week.
Okay, another question about Russia.
All right, so there's more stuff coming out this week. That answer was the most delicate answer Matt could give, because the answer I've been seeing is that certain people that were in Trump 1.0 were being threatened, were being got to, and were told basically shut up, or else certain things could happen. And it's going to take John Ratcliffe here, because this is going to groundswell. And at some point, John Ratcliffe is going to have to come out and just say, why didn't you do something back then? When all this was happening, why didn't you go public and say you knew? What is it that made you, think that you didn't have the power to do what Tulsi's doing right now? You knew it. You had to have seen it. President Trump said we had it all. Or did President Trump say, don't do anything right now? That's one of the big enigmas that we need to find out.
Is the allegation they were trying to influence our election, or is the allegation that they actually changed votes? I think we need to be clear on that. What can we say?
So it's both. The Democrats are making a lot of hay over this apples and oranges issue, that there was never any question that they didn't actually change vote tallies, but they did influence the election. Actually, there was some question about whether they had the ability to influence the election. There were quotes earlier from that year with the FBI saying they didn't have any evidence that they had done so, and they were uncomfortable making that statement. There were also quotes saying that they lacked evidence that Russia had the ability to impact the outcome of the election. So all of this would have been passed on to somebody like Michael Flynn, because presidents-elect are entitled to receive the presidential daily briefing. That's why this is important. It's not so much what the PDB did say, it's what it didn't say. It didn't say that there was a sweeping conspiracy to help Trump. And if they had that, it would have been a very different political picture going forward.
Okay, looks like it's the DOJ's call next, and we'll see what they do. Matt, thanks for coming on. Matt Taibbi, good to be.
All right, so he explained there how Michael Flynn has reemerged as the central character in all of this. And what's really weird is that the mainstream media is trying to stay away from him. But just like they didn't want him to take office back in 2016 when Trump won, they don't want him out there on the news at all right now. This guy is like kryptonite to the Democrats. I can't wait to talk to him again. Ashley's trying to book him, but he's so busy. He's everywhere. He's in such demand on alternative media. Now, finally, one Republican has now stepped up. This Republican here, Andy Ogles, calls for the arrest of former President Barack Obama. This is going to be an issue now where it's going to force Republicans to make a stand, to make a statement. Because now is when, the mainstream media probably won't touch it. But this is where you better see all the podcasters, all the YouTubers who get any of these people on their shows, including me. One of those questions say, are you going to call for the arrest of Barack Obama? And I don't want to hear any waffling. Let's see what happens. No. You either got a yes or a no. Because at this point, you should be, if you don't know, you should be hunkering down and getting all the information right now. I can tell you today is the 21st. Nancy Mace is booked on the show on the 25th. So if she shows up and we have our interview, that's going to be question number one. Do you support Andy Ogles' request or demand for Barack Obama to be arrested? Tim Burchett, I believe he's got a date this week as well. We're going to have to ask him, you support this? We need to get these people on the record. So if you're out there on X and you're talking, go ahead and start asking people, do you support him being arrested? Bring it out. Make sure that they have to answer this question. There is no hiding here. You have to let us know right away what side of the table you're on right now. You don't need to say, I got to look at all the evidence. No. If you were around, if you were breathing in 2016, all of this isn't new. It shouldn't be new. You should completely understand specifically what's going on. by now you should have a strong opinion. So what's your opinion? Should Barack Obama and Brennan and Clapper and Comey, should they be arrested? Very easy question. All right, I'm going to keep going here in a second, but quickly here, I want to talk to you about one of the sponsors that allows me to do our show. Today's show is brought to you by Juvenon. Are you feeling tired, sluggish, or foggy? It could be poor blood flow. Blood Flow 7 by Juvenon is scientifically designed to support healthy circulation, so you'll feel energized, clear-headed, and vibrant again. It's packed with natural ingredients like nitrocygine, I hope I said that correctly, S7, and trans resveratrol. Blood Flow 7 works by boosting nitric oxide levels, a molecule that relaxes blood vessels, helping your blood flow freely to every corner of your body. And that means more oxygen and nutrients to your brain, heart, muscles, and even those places that might need a little extra help as you age.
They call it a lifting. They also use another word, but I'm not going to use that word. You know what that is? The word, it starts with an E. You know what the word is? If I ever used it, I'd be run out of town by you people.
Oh, behave. Yeah. Yeah, baby. Yeah.
Let's talk about the fact that President Trump incited an erection.
Explanation was not they didn't like Donald Trump. They said he participated in an erection.
With just one dose a day, you can reclaim your stamina, support heart health, and improve overall vitality, all without any caffeine or stimulants. Try Blood Flow 7 today and feel the difference where it matters most, inside your veins. All right, everybody, little housekeeping here at, I don't know, when I'm done here, I'd say about 8:30ish or so, I'll put up the banner for everyone to go to Rumble. Tonight we're going to do a movie night. No music, it's a movie. The movie is 90 minutes, perfect timing. It's called The Plot Against the President. It's a movie produced by Mike Cernovich. You may know him from X. And it's a pretty good movie. And it talks about some of the stuff that you guys may not know about. Some of the stuff, if you weren't following this, if you weren't a junkie back then and understood all the stuff that was going on, this may clear some stuff up for you. So you guys can actually see what was happening back in 2016 and getting a deep dive and getting your feet wet for this so you know. Because the media is not going to cover it. This is incumbent upon you to begin learning all this stuff that's happened. You're seeing press release, you're seeing Tulsi come out there, you're seeing this, you're seeing that. But unless you embraced all this stuff and you know specifically from the players involved what happened, that's what I'm trying to do and I want to bring to you. All right, so let me go to take a few comments here real quick. Oh, what else do I want to show you? Another Bondi win. Trump admin wins in court once again. Appeals court lifts the stay on the order that was terminating the temporary protective status for Afghans and Cameroonians. So another win for President Trump. But you won't hear it anywhere. You won't hear anyone in the media saying, oh, Trump's got another win. Just so you know, at this point, I think I'm correct, but I could be one off. She's 18-0. All those Boas Berger and those other judges that keep doing all this crazy stuff, when they appeal it or go to the Supreme Court, they are 18-0. They're getting all of them overturned. Say it again. The Democrats can't stop him. All they're trying to do is slow him down, and they barely have anything left. And now they got to deal with all this stuff as well. So good luck. Good luck. So Caroline Leavitt held an impromptu, I call it impromptu, I guess the area where she held this press conference is called the Sticks. It's where she comes out of the White House, she walks down the hill, and all the different news outlets have their own little tent there so that they can do quick hits. We've interviewed Monica Page there many a time, where she comes out in front of her tent. And so I want you to pay attention to the questions they don't ask, so you can get a really good idea as to what you'll hear when the full press conference comes, either tomorrow or later this week.
Caroline, good afternoon.
Hello, everybody.
Children,
how are you?
Good afternoon. Children's
It's good to see all of you. And yesterday, as you all know, we celebrated 6 months of the Trump administration. It's been a pleasure to work with all of you day in and day out here at the White House. 6 months, the most transparent administration in history, if I may add. And I know the president just wanted me to highlight his accomplishments over the past 6 months. As you all remember, because you all covered it on the campaign trail.
I want to stop something. Somebody put up a comment I want to address. This comment is permeating, and it's almost like it's a way to subvert Trump supporters. People keep saying, oh, he's going to have presidential immunity. Okay, let me explain this as I've been told by some people who know. Presidential immunity covers acts that you do as president. They don't cover acts that you do when you're not president, and they don't cover acts if the operation or the actions were taking place for an extended period of time when you're president and when you're not president. So the idea of what they're going to try and do is say that whether it's sedition or treason, that Obama has been involved in this stuff outside the realm of his time as president and has continued after being president. That way, they then can tie it in. So when people tell you, and they say, he's probably going to take presidential immunity, it's because that's another thing that's going around, and it's going around to try and get people disillusioned. Now, one of these judges, they may indeed say, yeah, he's entitled to presidential immunity. It's possible. But if they can make the tie, that this has been an ongoing operation, then they can overcome that. Just wanted to make sure you guys knew that.
The president really promised the American people many things, but at the top of that list was to defeat the Biden inflation crisis and to secure our border and our homeland. And I think you've all seen in 6 months' time, the president has delivered on those two core campaign promises. Inflation is now running at a 2.1% annual rate. You look at our southern border, look at the numbers. Just last month, 0 illegal aliens were released into our country. And then look at what the president has done on the world stage. He has ended wars like India and Pakistan. He continues to work aggressively to end the war in Russia and Ukraine. He completely obliterated Iran's nuclear sites. He has continued to hopefully negotiate a ceasefire between Israel and Gaza to end that conflict and release all of the hostages. We've seen many of the hostages released as a result of this president's efforts. And this president is working around the clock every day to deliver on the promises he made. You also look at some of the cultural issues, to abolish DEI from our federal government and our military, to effectively end men and women's sports, which is a huge common sense policy that the American people support. And then if you look at the president's strong executive orders that have effectively ended the chemical castration of young children in our country. Just today, Washington, D.C. Children's Hospital in this city has announced they are no longer going to be prescribing puberty blockers to minors. This is a huge win for America and our children. There's certainly more work to do, and the president is doing it right now, and he will continue for the next 3.5 years. But certainly we've accomplished so much in just 6 months, and I'm happy to take some questions.
Was the president serious, or was he joking this weekend when he said he might block a Washington Commanders stadium deal if they don't change their name?
The president was serious, and it's part of the art of the deal, part of his negotiating skills. As you know, sports is one of the many passions of this president, and he wants to see the name of that team changed.
Why is he getting involved in that? Why does he see that as part of his purview?
I think you've seen the president gets involved in a lot of things that most presidents have not. He's a non-traditional president. He likes to see results on behalf of the American people. And if you actually poll this issue with sports fans across the country and even in this city, people actually do support the president's position on this and the name change.
What will he do about that,
Thank you, Caroline.
White House's reaction.
Thank you, Caroline. And then Mary, you can go.
Thank you, Caroline. What is the White House's reaction to Senator Chuck Grassley today releasing the formally classified Clinton annex showing that the Comey-led FBI failed to fully investigate Hillary Clinton's use of a private email server, also failed to really look into thumb drives with potential national security risks on them, and emails from President Obama?
It comes as no surprise, unfortunately, and I think that's why you've seen the FBI open up investigations into the individual you mentioned and some others as well.
Caroline. Why hasn't the president just ordered the FBI to release the full Epstein files, just get it all out there?
The president has said if the Department of Justice and the FBI want to move forward with releasing any further credible evidence, they should do so. As to why they have or have not or will, you should ask the FBI.
But does he still anticipate releasing more information?
It's up to the Attorney General.
Does the president have any message for the countries that are planning to attend the two-state solution conference that's taking place later?
All right, so you're starting to see the pattern in what I was saying. It's what they're not asking. Hello? Anybody want to talk about the Tulsi Gabbard stuff? No? Epsteiniacs? Oh, nothing about Tulsi Gabbard, eh? Oh, okay.
I'm not quite sure he has a particular message for those countries. I think the president's message on this conflict we've seen in the Middle East taking place for far too long that has become quite brutal, especially in recent days. You've seen reports of more people dying. The president never likes to see that. He wants the killing to end, and he wants to negotiate a ceasefire in this region. He wants to see all of the hostages released from Gaza. That has been a top priority for this president. Within this 6 months, we have seen many of the hostages released, including the last living American hostage, Edon Alexander, which was a result of this administration's diplomatic efforts and approach to ending this conflict. And again, this is another conflict that the president inherited from the previous administration, who was so weak and incompetent, it led to so much chaos and death around the world, but this president is focused on solving it. Kelly, go ahead.
Thank you. So at 6 months, the president is also experiencing some pushback from members of his own MAGA base, especially on the matter of the Jeffrey Epstein files. Is the president satisfied that his own supporters are not heeding his call to let it go and to move on?
I know the president would reject that, Kelly. In fact,
Epstein. These are supposedly reporters from major outlets. The woman who just answered that question, she's the president of or used to be the president of the White House Correspondents Association. She works for NBC. Nope, we're going to talk about Epstein. You guys got anything you want to talk about the treason that's taking place? Anybody? Anybody want to talk about that? Oh, okay.
He cited over the weekend some polls showing that his approval rating with the Republican Party is actually at an all-time high. He's polling 90 to 95% amongst Republicans right now. That's higher than any Republican president or any leader of this party ever. The president is the creator and the leader of the Make America Great Again movement. It's his baby that he made, and he knows what his supporters want. It's transparency, and he has given them that on all accounts when it comes to everything this administration has done, especially when it just comes to the president himself, taking questions from all of you in the press corps on a near daily basis, multiple times a week. No question is off limits here at this White House, not just for the president, but myself as well.
Caroline, on immigration. All on Kash Patel to do more.
Again, as I just answered, the president has told the Attorney General and the FBI director to release any credible evidence that they find, and he also signaled to them over the weekend to move forward with unsealing the grand jury documents that were under seal by various judges across the country, and I believe the Attorney General has taken the proper legal action to do that.
You mentioned there also Israel, we've seen stepping up some attacks in Gaza. Has the president expressed his frustration with Netanyahu, and how does this impact the ceasefire negotiations?
Well,
it's almost as if these people didn't even hear anything the last couple days. It's like they're in a completely different bubble. Hey, can we talk to you about Netanyahu and Israel? It was stark as I was watching this, and I'm like, okay, this is going to be great. They're going to all jump in here and ask questions. This should be very telling to you. It terrifies the media to even discuss this stuff. They can't even go near it. I mean, I didn't see the whole thing. I'll wait and see it with you. But nobody's asking about the big elephant in the room. And I'm sure she's waiting. Can somebody ask about what Tulsi Gabbard's doing? No? Israel? Epstein? Seriously?
The president enjoys a good working relationship with Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu and stays in frequent communication with him. He was caught off guard by the bombing in Syria and also the bombing of a Catholic church in Gaza, which, as you know, I addressed at my briefing last week. And in both accounts, the president quickly called the prime minister to rectify those situations. And we saw Secretary Rubio intervene when it came to Syria. We saw a de-escalation there. And as for the bombing of the Catholic Church in Gaza, the prime minister did put out a statement saying this was an accident, and they deeply regretted that action on behalf of the state of Israel following his conversation with the president.
Has the White House taken a position on Maria Salazar's work visa bill? And ideally, what does the president want to see with a work program for aliens?
So now they've gone to Marie Salazar's bill, which I showed you earlier today, which was the one where basically if you've been here for 5 years, you get to stay. So again, another question, completely off base. Doesn't even want to talk about it.
Again, I know you asked me about that last week, and I regret to inform you my answer remains the same. I don't think that's the focus of the White House right now in terms of legislative priorities, but certainly I promise you you'll get a readout on the bill. But as I reiterated to you before, the president does not support amnesty for illegal alien criminals, and I think the tragic circumstance that took place in New York City this past weekend underscores the priority of this president to secure our homeland and to deport illegal alien criminals and public safety threats from our country and our community. That's this president's priority.
That in the last several months, Americans have become more hesitant about President Trump's different ways that he's been conducting immigration. They think that it's going too far. Is the White House going to limit any ways that it is enforcing immigration across the country?
I think the Trump administration is going to continue to focus on removing public safety threats and illegal alien criminals from sanctuary cities. The president himself has said that's the priority for him in this administration, which the vast majority of Americans do still support removing illegal, heinous criminals from their communities. And ultimately, the best poll that was ever taken was on November 5th, when nearly 80 million Americans voted to re-elect this president, largely because of his immigration policies. And we've seen they've been a resounding success. Again, 0 illegal aliens were released into the country last month. That's a good thing for all of us standing here and for Americans across the country.
And Caroline, there are reports that President Trump or that FBI agents going through the Epstein files were told to flag President Trump's name if it came up. Is that something the president was aware of, or something that he directed those agents or the Department of Justice to do?
I don't believe that's something the White House was aware of. You'd have to ask the FBI.
Caroline, is President Trump satisfied with how aid's being distributed in Gaza right now?
Look, the president is the reason that aid is even being distributed in Gaza at all. He wants to see this done in a peaceful manner where more lives are not being lost. He hated seeing the pictures of starvation of women and children desperately needing that aid, which is why this administration came to a creative solution to bring that aid into the region. And we want to make sure that aid is delivered to people in need, but certainly does not end up in the hands of terrorists. I think both things can be done at the same time. Look, it's a very difficult and complicated situation, again, that the president inherited because of the weakness of the last administration. And I think he should be applauded and the administration should be applauded for coming up with a creative solution to get aid into the region. The president wants to see peace, and he's been pretty clear about that. And our national security team continues to work on this every single day, but of course it's a very complicated situation.
Over the weekend, the Commerce Secretary had some pretty tough words for the Fed chain. It's good to see you.
Hi, Mark. It's good to see you. You're sneaking in back there.
I know. I wish I was taller. The Commerce Secretary over the weekend had some pretty tough words for the Federal Reserve Chairman. The White House has kind of sent some mixed messages whether or not his job is safe or not. Will Powell be allowed to finish his term as Federal Reserve Chairman or not?
Look, Mark, the president talked about this and answered these questions for you pretty extensively in the Oval Office. He has no plans to fire the Fed chair, but he has been very transparent in expressing his displeasure with Jerome Powell's management of the Fed and also his policies. And the president is right, by the way. He's been saying this for a while, but finally, economists and experts are agreeing with him that Jerome Powell should cut interest rates. If you look at our country, by every economic metric right now, it is booming. Look at the trillions of dollars the president has brought in foreign investments. Look at inflation, like I said, continues to go down. He's basically defeated it in just 6 months. If you look at the massive deregulatory campaign this administration has lost. Look at the cost of goods. The cost of oil is down 20%. We've added 700,000 jobs to the economy in just 6 months. The manufacturing sector is ticking up again. By all accounts, this is a good economy. In fact, the Wall Street Journal, wherever you are, did in fact give credit for that today. They said that the economy has its swagger back, which is one way to put it. But I think that it's true. And I think that the Fed chair needs to lower interest rates. The president is right about that. And finally, people are catching up to the president. Brian, go ahead.
Yes. Has the president shared any additional thoughts on privatizing the TSA?
Privatizing the TSA. I haven't heard him talk about that, but perhaps...
It's almost like they said, can we pick as many questions as we possibly can that'll be nothing close to this stuff? Privatizing TSA, raise your hand if that's even giving... You have to imagine when they're asking these questions because they're going to either write a story or make a post or something, and you're asking whether or not the President of the United States is talking about privatizing TSA. I think he's kind of busy. I'm pretty sure he's working on something, in case you haven't noticed. Nobody cares about your privatization of TSA. We just got to take our shoes off and keep them on at this point. And you're asking that kind of question on a day like today. This was today.
Be a good idea. I think we can all agree there's a little bit of bureaucracy when you move through an airport. But I'll get with the president, or perhaps you can ask him yourself next time, Brian.
Caroline, the Congressional Budget Office released updated estimates today about the Big Beautiful Bill now that it's law. They estimate that the deficit will grow by $3.4 trillion by 2034, and that 10 million people will lose health coverage by 2034. I know you guys are critical of the CBO. More broadly speaking, is there any concern from the administration that this bill, now that it's law, will increase the deficit in any way or remove anyone from health insurance that they have legal citizens?
No, look, this bill was a great bill for the American people. It was the largest tax cut for middle and working class families in our nation's history. And the president wants to see this country get our fiscal house in order. That's why this was a fiscally responsible bill, one of the most fiscally conservative pieces of legislation for its size that has ever crossed through Capitol Hill. And the president wants to cut our deficit. That's why he's effectively using tariffs to bring more revenue into the United States to ultimately pay down our debt that has been created by presidents on both sides of the aisles for many, many decades.
There are 11 days until that August 1st trade tariffs deadline. What can we expect between now and August 1st in terms of potential announcements of trade deals with many countries?
Look, I can tell you the trade team and the president himself continue to be very engaged with countries around the world when it comes to our trade agreements. You have the president of the Philippines who will be visiting the White House tomorrow. Perhaps this will be a topic of discussion. You will all see for yourselves in the Oval Office, as you always do. But the August 1st deadline is just really the start date for when the United States of America will begin collecting this revenue from all of the countries around the world who the president has sent these letters to. You could see some more letters before August 1st, John. You could have some more trade announcements as well. I can tell you the president, Secretary of Treasury, Secretary of Commerce, Ambassador Greer all continue to be in constant communication with our trading partners.
Yes. Yeah, thank you. How did you see the tariff negotiations with South Korea being fundamentally different with those with Japan?
I can check in on the status of the South Korean trade talks for you.
Special envoy is visiting Lebanon regarding disarming Hezbollah. Does President Trump still believe diplomacy?
Who is visiting?
Tom Barak. Special envoy Tom Barak is visiting Lebanon regarding disarming Hezbollah. Does President Trump still believe diplomacy can work with Lebanon while Hezbollah keeps its weapons?
Look, I think the president wants to see diplomacy work with Lebanon and all of the partners in the Middle East. You know, the president has been very clear when it comes to his priorities for Iran, and he obliterated their nuclear capability. And I understand that the administration continues to be open to talks with Iran if we deem them necessary. As for Tom Barak's trip, I know the president supports him and he's doing a great job in Syria.
Caroline. According to the House Judiciary Committee, the Biden administration sent nearly $1 billion in taxpayer funds to the left organization in Israel to oppose Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. What is the White House reaction?
Well, it's not a surprise to me that the previous administration sent billions of dollars overseas for useless priorities that don't advance America's interests. We've seen a lot of that, which is why this administration has been very focused on clawing a lot of that money back and making sure the American government is spending American tax dollars on America's priorities. Thank you, guys. I'll see you later.
I saw that and I go, they're not going to believe this. We have the biggest crime in American history. We have people being accused of treason. The biggest crime in the country, in our law books, treason. The DNI director came out over the last 2 or 3 days and dropped a whole bunch of information, posted a whole bunch on X, and not one single question from the media. Now, after watching that, now you know why I keep saying to you guys, you're going to have to be the media. You're going to have to get out there and talk about it, because your normie friends, we'll call them normie, we can call them Abby normie, they don't see any of this. They're never going to see anything that Tulsi Gabbard is talking about. They are going to make sure that the people who tune into those stations don't hear any of this. They're hoping it just goes away and nobody's going to know. And then, when somebody gets arrested, it'll be like, oh my God, the Trump administration is going after their opponents. Don't let people be surprised about what's happening. It's on you at this point. Every single one of you in the chat could have done better than those idiots around Caroline. Lord help us. I mean, seriously. How bad is it that these people get paid lots of money by major news organizations to go out there and report, and they won't even touch this? It's not even conspicuous by its absence. It's an actual intentional aversion. Don't even bring it up. Don't say nothing about this. SB just says, I love when SB hits me up with things that, check this, check that. Let's see what President Trump just posted. Yeah. Let me bring this to you, because it looks like he's had enough. And you would think when people hear the president talk, that's news. Nope, they completely ignore it. Okay, here we got. Obama himself manufactured the Russia hoax. Crooked Hillary, Sleepy Joe, and numerous others participated in this, as I've been saying, the crime of the century. It's not the crime of the century, it's a crime of all time in American history. Irrefutable evidence, a major threat to our country. Now you're hearing those words from the President of the United States, and the media is like, here, can we privatize TSA? Seriously, you could make your bones if you're a reporter just talking about what Trump's talking about, and so the idea that you're not talking about it tells you, or should tell you, these people don't give a crap. Which also should tell you they're terrified. They're absolutely terrified of what this could potentially mean. Because it would end the Democrat Party, and essentially it would end the media as you know it. And they've gotten away with it for so long, they cannot believe that this stuff is being brought out. And Trump's pissed. He's had it. Irrefutable evidence. Anybody who thinks that Pam Bondi won't be bringing charges, you're nuts. You're absolutely nuts if you think this man went through what he went through and they're not being prepared to bring charges. You got to know better than that. You really have to dig in and understand that. Pull the PI and let's get the parties to pull the pin and let the party get started. Yeah. This is absolutely getting crazy. This confirmed everyone got the memo to not ask anything associated with this. Yep. Came down from the biggies in CBS, NBC, ABC. Shut up. Don't talk about it. Yep, Donna, they sure don't want to bring it up. And it's funny because you could ask people, well, they probably would deny it, but why did they not bring it up? How is the president talking about something? How is one of his cabinet members talking about something? And the press is completely ignoring it. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Except it does make sense. They're terrified. They're terrified as AF, and you know what that means. And now this is all over the place. I'm looking at it on X here, and yeah, people have screenshot it and put it everywhere else. Something else I found interesting I want to share with you. Let me bring this up to you. All right, this is really important. And I had posted something to the, not to the effect, but I posted this. I'm like, Pam Bondi's going to need a lot more prosecutors. In addition to the stuff about Obama, notice they didn't bring anything about this up either. These two high-ranking officials were fired for acting on their own and subsequently greenlit without anyone or Dr. Bachara's approval the Moderna MRA for infants and children. They will also be referred for criminal investigation. They're looking at, you messed up, you're going to go to jail. You messed up, you're going to go to jail. And the media doesn't talk about anybody going to jail. Nobody. Zippo. Don't want you to know. It's incredible what we're seeing happen here on a basically almost hourly basis, and nobody wants to talk about it. I love this one from Clandestine. He's like, Democrats deleting all of their no one is above the law tweets. I love the old people. Not only the Democrats, the media as well. The media is obviously, they got the memo. The memo went out there and said, no more. No more. Clandestine, one of my good follows, Trump is not backing down. He calls out Obama, Clinton, and the rest of the corrupt cabal. He claims to have irrefutable evidence. Trump continues to normalize the reality that Obama and his cohorts were engaged in a treasonous conspiracy. If the President of the United States was saying this about any other country, that they had done something to this level, we'd be talking probably about military intervention. And here we are over here, and we can't even get our own press to talk about it. That should tell you, that should speak volumes to you. Let's see. What? Ads should not be allowed to be shown on a live stream. You want to pay a subscription? That stuff cracks me up. Ads should not be. Do you watch television at all? You ever turn on a television, and as you're watching television, there's this thing that comes on like every 30 seconds, and they dance or, have it your way. It's the business. Wow. What a fantastic administration President Trump has now, it seems. Absolutely. Find a new Devil's Island and put them all there. Got to do something. I mean, Sky News, that's so bad that a news reporter from outside the country are talking about it. I worked at a casino, penny machines and nickel machines, free mixed drinks. I don't think those people are doing mixed drinks. What can we do to get rid of the media? Okay, here's what you can do to help it. You ready? Become the media. That's your answer. Become a source. Put stuff out. Spread the message. President Trump is posting that out there so that you could then do what Clandestine did. When you see people like Clandestine or myself or anybody else, and you see us put these things out there, we're putting them out there because we're spreading the message. There it is. There's President Trump's post. He snapshotted it and boom, put it out there. Put it out there. Let people see it. Let it permeate. Let it grow. I bet you, if I were to, refresh and go home, probably, there it is again. There's, hold on. Here it is with rapid response. It's posted right there. So what you're going to see is more and more people realize the only way this stuff is going to get out there is if you put it out there. Don't wait for other people to do it because they're probably not going to do it. I'm trying to see if there's anything. Yeah, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy what's going on out there. And no, I will not. Donald Trump Jr. with the meme for tonight. Oh, man. Donald Trump Jr. showing the OJ chase. and he's got Barack Obama driving to. So, oh man, it's memes are memes. Memes are what they are. But at some point, we got to get to the point where we're actually arresting people. This isn't going to get done with memes. But you guys, whatever you can do to help is going to be completely warranted, and people are going to want to see it because the media is obviously not doing their job. You need to become the media. It's absolutely. Wait a minute. Oh, SV is hitting me up again. What do you got now, SV? Hold on. Let me just see. No, that was it. Let me see this one here. There's so much stuff out there, and I try to find it all so we can put shows together. But there's so much, and now you just basically have to become that, become the media, enjoy it. All right, so we're going to jump over to Rumble. I'm going to do super chats, and then we're going to jump over and watch the movie. Let me see. Where's the button? Okay, and there's you can go over there now if you'd like to, and the movie is called The Plot Against the President, and it's a pretty good movie. It's with a lot of people in the news were in it. It's an older movie because a lot of people don't remember or weren't involved knee deep into what was happening back in 2016. All right, so and I do it on Rumble because here on YouTube they would have a big problem with it. Hence, even last night they had a problem talking about the things that were going on. They're not happy. They're not happy with what's happening. All right, so let me leave that up there. Tim McCurry, how you doing? Paul Revere's ride, 1 if by land, 2 if by sea. In our case, the enemy is definitely coming by land. They're already here, deeply rooted in government. Good. I like that. Peter Ortiz, 47 Chevy and Lantern. Trump is riding and calling for Minutemen and Patriots. Is that really a 47 Chevy? No. I'll have to look that again. Starfleet, thank you. Hockey Gramps, no immunity for treason while in office. Steve Lukomsky, the press is afraid they might upset their audience if they bring up Obama, who is loved by the libs. Yeah, he's their messiah. Peter Ortiz, some reporters have an IQ of a potato chip. Why you got to be insulting potato chips, bro? Tilly, my husband said Obama will never be arrested. I said, hey, what happened to the glass being half full? See, a lot of people, they fostered that. Do they not remember Trump getting arrested? That's what I don't understand. When you say Obama won't be arrested definitively, do you not remember just a few months ago? Crazy. Benedetto Salerno, never mind, the biggest scandal ever is the president going to change daylight savings time. Linda Leisner, can I rewatch the movie later on your Rumble channel? Yes, I have to go, but want to see the movie and the rest of your show. Absolutely. If you ever miss a movie or you can't see it, yes, they are available for you to check out on Rumble. Once I do it. Okay. Got another one here that I didn't get a chance to read. This was from, who's it from? Prepper. 5150 Prepper. Why are you the only one who can easily educate us on past and present? My husband and I get all your news from you, the No BS Zone. I don't know. I think a lot of people who are now popular don't remember 2016, 2015, 2017. They weren't attacked for supporting President Trump. They weren't kicked off of Facebook. They weren't kicked off of the old Twitter. They don't know how bad it was. They don't remember everything that was going on, or they just maybe didn't cover it back then. And now all of a sudden it's cool to be covering Trump. And so, I don't know, but you're going to see right now in this movie, when we jump over, you're going to see some people who are covering and did cover way back then what was going on. And I think you're really going to enjoy this. All right, so I'm going to put on the jump over. Oh, wait a minute. There were a couple hold on. There were a couple of super chats from Rumble. Miss AJ, no rant, just gratitude for Barry and the mods for outstanding news reporting and common sense. Thank you. And Bevel, any mention of the Tulsi will be attributed to fake info conjured up by his staff, some of them affiliated with Trump himself. Not 17, yes. Because they know at this point this could be it for them. All right, so I'm going to put on the break music, and then we're going to begin on the other side.